Joe Biden has weaponized the Internal Revenue Service against the American people. He started off with a big brother proposal directing the IRS to snoop on the American people's bank accounts to monitor transactions of $600 or more. He then spent $80 billion to build an army of 87,000 armed IRS agents to target middle and low-income families and small businesses with a flood of audits and draconian enforcement activities.
This assertion of this army of 87,000 people, armed guards at everybody's door, has been repeated, I think, probably 1 million times over the last 2 years or year and a half. It's not true. And they know it's not true. But they don't care whether it's true. They believe that the constant assertion of that fact, and unfortunately through social media and other means, becomes fact for people who do not know the facts. How sad that we have come to this point.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I rise today to offer my amendment to the Financial Service and General Government Appropriation Act for fiscal year 2024 to prohibit performance awards or bonuses for senior executive service employees at the IRS. My amendment helps return the IRS to its original mission and ensure hardworking taxpayers receive satisfactory customer service without having a fear of a supercharged IRS. We need to protect the taxpayers, rein in an unaccountable federal agency, and reverse course from this dangerous path of growing bureaucracy and heavy-handed federal government. I have a message to all of my colleagues here today. If you disapprove of the IRS leaking tax information about president's political opponents, then support my amendment. If you disapprove of the IRS targeting conservative groups for their political beliefs, then support my amendment. If you disapprove of the IRS ignoring congressional subpoenas, then support my amendment. If you disapprove of this agency stonewalling Congress, destroying evidence, and lying to the American people, then support my amendment. Finally, if you disapprove of IRS senior executives receiving bonuses for their work, then support my amendment. Again, I thank the chairman and ranking member for their continued work on the committee. And Mr. Chair, I reserve.
It's so sad to hear on this floor assumptions made that have little or any basis in truth. It is so sad to hear a debate that if you're for or against something that's awful, then you're going to be against giving people who perform their services in extraordinary ways recognition of that, as the private sector does all the time. It is so sad to hear representation that we're eliminating gas stoves that we heard during the course of this debate on this bill, not in this instant debate, because it's totally untrue. And it's defaming. Now, luckily, for members of Congress, we're essentially constitutionally protected from defaming people. We can do that in the course of our business on the floor of the House of Representatives. But it's sad that some of us do it. It's sad that some of us demean people who are performing an outstanding, absolutely essential service for the United States government, for the people of this country, and to carry out the duties that we give them. And I say we've come to the point, we've been at that point probably for a very long period of time, where people assert things that are not true, but do it over and over and over again. We had a president of the United States who did that. And because he did assert it, they believed it. And then, of course, along comes their chief of staff and says, we knew it wasn't true, but we kept telling the American people, until they believed it so much that they perpetrated an insurrection and trying to overthrow the legitimate course and duty of the Congress of the United States. This amendment ought to be rejected because it is irrational to say that in our enterprise, if you do outstanding work and do what we ask you to do, and you do it effectively, we're not going to recognize the fact that you did outstanding service because you're an IRS agent or you're an IRS executive. The IRS is the biggest agency in this, in the Treasury Department and in this bill. And it is on the basis of which all other agencies and departments operate, because that's where the revenue comes from. And the revenue comes from that as well to pay the debt when we don't have enough dollars to do what we've asked them to do. I would hope that we would not continue to defame and to demote. Maybe my hope is misplaced as we reduce federal employees one after another over and over to $1 in salary because we don't like what they do. We don't like the policies they pursue for the administration. Vote no on this amendment.